Hello, YouTube. My name is Brandon Wynn.
My name's Edward Burns.
And this is Critical Failure. So, this is probably like the 100th time we tried recording this video because we had 15 other videos.
Of just tangents.
Yeah, just tangents alone. But this is a HobGoblin video that I promised you guys from Instagram. You didn't know this at the time, but I put a post onto our Instagram page that you didn't know we had until today.
Oh, I knew we had the page. I just didn't know you put the
thing
poll up.
Yeah, it was a comment below which one you wanted, the HobGoblin or the elf, into which none of you guys said anything, sadly. But I decided to make both.
We were just going to do both.
Yeah, we were going to do both at some point, but I decided to do HobGoblin. The next video will be elf, and then we have our next necromancer video. And then after that, we have another video idea of something that I can say because we don't want anyone else magically stealing it from us. So we'll be the first one
to do it.
Yeah,
I really like the idea for that video.
I'm glad that I came up with the idea of the video because no one else has done it. But speaking of HobGoblins, because this is what the video is about, for HobGoblins, we're not going to be speaking about the Volo's Guide or any other true thing about it unless it resorts into us. This is more for HomeBrew.
Yeah, this is more of our personal viewpoints on HobGoblins. And
yes.
Our take on them in the world and stuff.
I see them as like how they are in like the real D&D setting of their military like tribes or something like that. But I also like it to where it's like there's a few who aren't like that. They're like normal settlements or something like that. But if they still hate elves, like as you for a DM, I would for me, I would have it if like a hobgoblin was to serve an elf, because they hate elves. They wouldn't, or they'll do something to spite them, spitting their drink, yeah, and then peeing in it, defecating their food, putting their pubes into it, just basic little things, or just straight up making them pay 50 gold for whatever it is, knowing that they can't pay it, just doing something completely absurd just to shoo them away.
With how many things actually hate elves, it makes me want to play as an elf just to use that as a tactical advantage. Like I did when in your campaign when it was hobgoblin focus. I made a Wood Elf Ranger, 1, because it was faster. 2, I was focusing on range, so I could pick off the hobgoblins before they could get in melee combat with me.
Mm-hmm.
And 3, my girlfriend was playing, and she's not that experienced in D&D, so I did that to draw most of the aggro to me and use it to my advantage, and I went Rambo on the hobgoblins.
Yeah. And the really cool thing about that is we implement such things as that, into which, it's not hard, but I just don't feel like many people really focus on stuff like that. To where it's they'll show some distaste for them, but they won't implement it any further.
It's kind of weird. When I see people play D&D and stuff, it's all the races. There's no backlash. Look how many tieflings you've seen in various campaigns.
Yeah, there's
no
tieflings
one ever
everywhere. Has
a freak out reaction like they would describe it. There's there's
but tieflings are also very hard to come by in say if you were to play a real world. Tieflings are extremely rare.
Yeah, I imagine people if you give birth to a tiefling, that baby's probably dying.
Yeah,
someone's probably going to kill that.
Yeah, unless you're a part of a tiefling family, but it's that they're so rare because it's almost impossible to find one. And there's the Aasimar, which is also rare.
That one's even rarer because unlike tieflings, when they reproduce, it's not likely to be another Aasimar.
Yeah, it's just completely accidental essentially.
Yeah, but with tieflings, when they breed with people, it's going to produce.
Yeah, regardless is going to be tiefling.
And that point makes me wonder, what happens if an orc breeds with a tiefling? Because they also breed true. They're both races that breed true.
Tiefling. Because they might breed true, but I would like to say the magical essence takes over.
The orc comes from, gods. That's why they always go out and they'll, reproduce with other races and stuff, because it's always going to produce orcs.
That's at least half orc.
Yeah, and then you have the ogre orc.
The orog.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true, but those are technically half orcs if you want.
But they're still orcs.
It's breeding true, yeah, but I would say that it's a tiefling.
It's just orcs with better benefits.
Yeah,
It'd probably be an orc with fire resistance.
Yeah, I would say it would be more or less like a tiefling in the way that like
Because
in the
they even
with
have
orcish,
demonic orcs. They're
they're red if I'm correct.
they have like horns and stuff, but they're
I
bad.
would I would assume that it's a tiefling and it's like tiefling stature, but it's in like okay, so you know
You
how
think
it's
like
like
a tiefling like
with
looks, but
it's an orc body.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. It's like
so
essentially
orc stats and stuff, but tiefling appearance.
yeah, that's what and like you get both because you know it's like
I think
that
that would look cool. Like a
yeah.
the blend of a tiefling features and orc features.
I would like it to where it's like depending on what the tiefling was like say it was like a elf tiefling because you know they do look like other things like
well a lot of
they
times
can be
like
humans they can be elves
with like demons and like elves it produces cambions instead. It doesn't produce tieflings.
It's more or less just like the genetic structure of it,
yeah.
like what it looks like. I'm not meaning to say it's actually an elf. It's just the genetic structure. So it's like I want to see an orc with this. Yeah, Bork. That was our joke. With his Bork, plow a halfling, and then just boop. I have a football for you. We don't like halflings, but I want to see that, and it's very very disturbing to imagine. But it's like I want to see a halfling orc. So it's like tiny, like it'll probably be like gnome sized.
Just imagine it being a goblin. It basically just be a goblin. But anyways, speaking of goblins, let's talk about hobgoblins. You played as hobgoblins before.
Yeah, I've played as Anu. I'm disgruntled about that goblin comment because I never thought about that. But yeah, I played as a hobgoblin. It was Anu, into which it was that campaign that you were discussing earlier, into which it was probably about hobgoblins.
Yeah,
they murdered elves. Elves were, if I'm correct, I told you elves were like near extinct in this world. Like it was hard to come by an elf. Like it was, you'll see more of everything else. Into which like you notice that like my character was heavily watched in town, and there were like people that already lived in these places before it became overly crowded that were watched because they were like afraid of spies, like how people were of the Japanese during World War II. And then the Vietnamese in Vietnam, and I'm assuming Korea for us. It's like it was a huge issue, and like you know there was starvation and stuff like that. But another thing that I like to implement that it was in Volo's guide was the discussion of the tithe. Essentially, like the hobgoblins are willing to protect you as long as you pay up the tithe, and I was gonna have it as bi-monthly, and you know like they'll defend you, and like of course like if you mess up, they're not gonna let you just mess up. They're gonna deal with you.
Yeah, they're strict. Like
they're strict but fair.
You know what? Actually, I just thought about it. The way I think about like hobgoblins, like you know Star Wars.
Yeah.
You know the Empire.
Yeah.
I imagine their society would probably be set up like the Empire in Star Wars.
Yeah, they're like
where it's very military focused. They're always trying to improve that. Their structure is set up to where they try to be as efficient as possible, which, you know, mass producing stuff isn't always the greatest thing, but
yeah. But yeah,
I can see that, like, you know,
it's definitely
like the Empire now.
Yeah, I can see that, but they're not as fucking horrible. But in this one, like, for this campaign, my character was facing heavy discrimination as it was. Like, he was essentially the son of the bad guy, as it was. So he already was a huge issue. Your characters, like, not just specifically yours, like, everyone's character didn't like my character for a good reason.
But my character didn't like a lot of races, because I was trying to add, like, a bit more depth to my character. So
you wanted to add the more grittiness to the Blood Hunter.
My character was, he was very, like, I don't know the term to use. I would say, like, strict, but not so strict, like, harsh. He was very harsh, and it's because of the way he was basically grown up to be, like, a living weapon.
Yeah.
And so his viewpoints is, like, he judges you first on, like...
your usefulness?
Yeah, and, like, well, he also sees your race, so he kind of has a concept of, on average, what your race is. So he's just, like... He viewed you, and he was like, you're just nothing more than a monster. And
that's basically what my character was, because, like, he was down for, like, conquering the Earth until, like, after a certain point.
Yeah, but my character, he also really liked Dragonborn and Dwarves.
I didn't know that he really liked Dragonborn and Dwarves.
Yeah, because, like, with Dwarves, it's because their creativity and the weapons and stuff that they produce. And
is that why you really liked Brian's character? And not liked, but you kept trying to save him?
No, The only reason why I saved him is because I was interested in the whole like Cthulhu thing going on with him, and because my character was a blood hunter.
I did like how I implemented Cthulhu into it because he was a warlock of the Great Old Ones.
Yeah.
And we had discussed how like we should have it to where it's like the Great Old Ones because they're very strange. They just do things. Essentially, he'll lose like time, and he'll do something and not even realize it. So like. I had him roll something and it's like to see if he would wake up doing it, and like he never did. Like he was like, okay, I wake up. And I was like, you come to consciousness with your hands bleeding profusely. You realize that you're in mid bandage for like bandaging them, and that there is a deep tunnel that is now like opened. And he was like, what the heck happened? I was like, roll a freaking insight check, dumbass.
Yeah, I joked his dwarven instincts kicked in, so he started digging tunnels.
Which is really funny because I made him dig the tunnel into the correct direction that you guys needed to go anyways. But it's like, I also, like, if I'm correct, I made him, like, mark things when he wasn't paying attention. Like, I'll be like...
He'll just do weird things.
Yeah.
He'll, like, pause and have, like, mini seizures for no reason.
Yeah, he'll see the god in his apparition. You've seen the god do, like, a weird apparition.
And then I was like, don't you touch me.
And then he royally touched you.
He touched me, and I was like, this is my main purpose in this campaign, is to hunt him down and kill him just because he touched me.
Yeah.
Because my character did not like being touched at all.
I was going to make a joke towards a video that we were trying to make earlier.
Yeah.
Does your character have issues that we were discussing about earlier video?
No, that didn't happen to him. He's basically like ripped apart repeatedly by mages and then restored to build up like, you know, toughness, and not if someone tried to torture him, he wouldn't like break under torture and stuff.
But hold on, let me read my script that I haven't followed.
But you know what? I really like the way the hobgoblin culture is.
It is really cool.
Like, me and you were talking about this a while ago, you know, how I would prefer, like, orcs kind of being more military. Like,
yeah, they're not just savages.
I kind of want to take, like, just combine orcs and goblins to make a culture. Because, like, I want to use the hobgoblin, like, structure for society. But I really like the orc pantheon and stuff and the religious...
So are you trying to combine them or just, like, give them...
Yeah, combine them. Like, splice the aspects that I like of both groups into like one group. And I also don't like my orcs just being like savages. I like them being honorable.
I would consider like essentially giving them the hobgoblin like lifestyle and giving it that way, because to me they're vastly two different things. Into which I really like how the 5e version of the goblin and hobgoblin look like. I've discussed this with you several times, and I completely agree with you. Like, you know, orcs aren't just all savages, you know, and I have no issue running them as that. And I also want
to do it because back in older editions, orcs were also goblinoids.
Yeah.
But they aren't now. But
yeah, and I don't have that issue. But if I'm correct, like the orc pantheon is fighting or something like that.
Just,
the hobgoblin pantheon.
Yeah, it's just Medjuviet.
The Glubiet with what's it?
And they have like one or two other gods of their own still.
Yeah, and like if I'm correct, they beat the hell out of the orc pantheon or some shit.
No.
Or was that the other goblinoid pantheon?
He just beat the hobgoblin pantheon to death, and he left a few survivors.
He was like,
but they're waging like war against
war.
Yeah, and there's theories that basically like one of the orc goddesses is basically going to be the last one standing if it actually like ends.
That would not be surprising.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I don't, like, because of how, like, the lore is currently, I don't see them being together, and it's not, like...
No, it's not that at all. It's just making them one race. I'm not talking about them working together.
I thought you were just trying to, like, okay, I understand.
Yeah. It's just making one race, and I feel like, you know, I would just use hobgoblin stats as just different orcs. You know, that way I have more variety for my orc culture.
So essentially hobgoblins are still hobgoblins, orcs are still orcs, it's just they're going to be labeled under one thing.
Yeah, because I kind of want to do like more like Tolkien. I think Tolkien, like goblins and orcs are interchangeable term for orcs. And you know, you'll just have smaller orcs which are just goblins and whatnot. Which it helps fit with the campaign I want to run. Because they're basically prisoners who are transformed into orcs to be superior warriors to fight off the abyss.
Yeah, I really like that idea. And That's a really good video for that one. So yeah, I'm gonna write that down, or you can write that down for that one. That's a really good video. But yeah, we have a book for video ideas. Not that. Here you go, write that. But there's no lead. But we're gonna go on to classes that they can be as. I think they're gonna be really good clerics, because I was playing as a cleric, and it doesn't matter what type of cleric that you want to play as. I would say something more combat oriented, the sheer fact that they don't really focus on healing spells. Barbarians, monks, fighters, all of those, like any fighting class would work very well for them in my opinion, because they're military. They're not like a healer type of thing. They don't deal with that very well.
And whenever they like learn magic, they just learn like destruction.
Yeah,
magic.
that's why. So it's like.
But I feel like it would benefit them more as like a military to also have like healing magic to like heal your warriors.
Yeah, but if I'm correct, they didn't really do that.
Yeah, they don't care about that.
Yeah, they're just like, you die, you die.
I feel like that's kind of a weakness on their part.
I would definitely say it's weakness,
because they're healing your soldiers, and your soldiers are gonna like keep fighting and eventually probably overwhelm.
Yeah, if I'm correct, like I didn't give on to any healing cantrips to go with that too. Not cantrips, healing spells. Sorry.
Yeah, because we used a variant rule to where in the Dungeon Master Guide you can pick from any spell.
Yeah.
Table list.
Yeah, and it's just crazy because I've also thought about that, but you know, it's like any combat class is really good for the Hobgoblin. I would honestly, this is what I would do if you want to make a Hobgoblin like class that's a sorcerer or a wizard. Do this: get a D6 and roll it. If you magically can get a 6, make it. Honestly, of course, you can just make it if you want, but it's like just do it for the sheer fact of I want to see it. And this is just for my personal fun. I might do this, but it's like, you know, it says very few Hobgoblins are born with the ability to cast magic to that level. So that's what I was saying. Like, roll a d6. That says that you're born with it. If you get the 6, if not, you know, just do it anyways. But
I think if you're gonna go wizard for the Hobgoblin, I think I would pick Bladesinger.
Yeah, that
makes
more
like
sense.
A martial mix of wizard, which I've been wanting to play like a Bladesinger for a while because it seems pretty cool.
Yeah. Another thing is that it'd be really good for them to play the sorcerer if, you know, they're...
Yeah, any class fits sorcerer. Yeah. Just, you have magic.
Yeah. They have special, essentially, like, task forces within the Hobgoblin thing, if I'm correct.
Are you talking about, like, those, like, Shadow Monk things?
It was more like how our campaign was. Like, we had a special task force, like they had a special task force. If I'm correct, like, I have to read it again, but they had, like, weird task force thingies and they're, like, special operations. I know the Bugbears had it, technically, but...
Karate Bugbear.
That was another joke that I need to actually animate if I get into animation for college, but... Like, you should try and get it to where, like, if you run Hobgoblins, get them in, like, a special team. Like, I would say 2 melee fighters... a wizard or a spellcaster or something like that, and a monk. Like, have the monk look like the smallest, frailest of them, because nothing's more badass than freaking Spider-Man popping out of nowhere, beating some ass out of the blue.
Speaking of Spider-Man, I've been like, I want to make Spider-Man as like a monk somehow, and I'm not quite sure how I want to do it. But, you know, I just keep seeing that new like Spider-Man game, and it just gets me so hyped.
That's really funny because you know me, I'm not really into like the video games for superheroes, but it does look really fun.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan.
You just magically got me into Bloodborne because I've been playing that before we did anything, and I've gotten farther than you, and I've only been playing for like 30 minutes.
But I keep setting that game down. I do not approve.
I magically got farther. I killed the first two bosses that I could have possibly gotten to. The church's demon thingy and the Mr. I turned into a werewolf my first try.
But, what else do you want to talk about?
Let me read it.
I think it'd be cool if the Hobgoblins were being led by a very ancient Lich Hobgoblin.
That would be cool.
Yeah. Just imagine the amount of like wisdom. And like you could spend like one of my favorite Star Wars villain is Admiral Thrawn. and he studies people's like culture. Like he looks at your art and stuff, and he breaks you down on like a psychological level of your like species.
That's really cool.
And he uses that weakness against you to defeat you. And I find that really cool, and I think that'd be a really interesting concept for a hobgoblin.
I want, if I do that, I want to run a campaign for that, and then do a campaign farther down the line to show that, because honestly that seems really cool, but the only way I want to do that is so I flesh out the world beforehand in a real campaign and then do it. So that seems like something I could do in the future when we actually start a campaign, like, because what we've discussed was we have like 2 or 3 campaigns going on at once, like each person DMing a different one. So it's like you already have one, I have one, so we could literally be posting, like, because I am not going to be working Wednesdays anymore because of how college is. Wednesday nights, like after I'm done with school, we could be doing like recording for that, post it Thursday morning.
And I could also run like a Fallout World too.
Fallout, that's going to be one of the third ones because Fallout World was great. Heavy amounts of use for a Gen 2 synth. You slapped my face off.
Yeah.
And I was like, great. I need to put this back.
You just kept talking smack, so the dude was like, and your face came off.
And then you had Big G. Big G is a reoccurring character.
Yes.
It's not always the same race, but he definitely strong, man. But yeah, I think they would be decent rogues for hobgoblins. Like,
I think rogues would be really useful. You just have them as assassins to sneak in.
Yeah, that's one thing.
Like, if I were to run hobgoblins and they had rogues, I would have them go in before like my armies even arrive within range to assassinate military leaders, not necessarily even important figures. Because if you take out the chain of command, like the experts of fighting you, when you go there, they're gonna be like,
what?
Well, yeah, we're gonna get wrecked.
You know what you should do? You should hit up AJ Pickett, another D&D content creator. He's really awesome. We've talked to him a few times. You should ask him where he put his Hobgoblin video, because we want it.
Yeah,
I've wanted to look it up several times.
I missed his song. I told you it was gone, and I have no idea where it went. And I was like, I love that song, because we would play it in the car and stuff.
We would play it, and we're just like, I love it. But yeah, like, I don't see them being druids. Forgot to say that. I don't see them being druids.
Yeah, I don't see them really in touch with nature.
They don't even harvest food themselves. Like they literally talk about how they're just like, we take it from you. And like they will if they have to, but they're like orcs. They're like, we're not going to touch this shit unless we have to. They're like, it is below us. Goblin, go do it.
I don't feel like putting the effort in getting food.
Yeah. And I mean, like, let me see.
But yeah, but I also see that as a weakness, because if you have like druids and stuff, you could just help produce your own food.
Very true. You know, if you can produce your food, then you're like...
Yeah, it would strengthen your military might. Because that's a big problem with militaries is, like,
you don't
food.
Have things. Yeah. And that was a huge thing with my campaign. Like, they don't have enough food for, like, how cramped it is. Because, like, Mulgrath had 90% of the continent.
Mm-hmm. And we were talking about, like, debating on, like, poisoning the hobgoblins' food. And there's also, like, that chance that it would also go to the captives, the civilians. And
it would kill them.
And it was like... Is that a tactical risk worth taking, or not?
And you were given the right to do it regardless, and you were supposed to do it as you saw fit. Mm-hmm. So whoever you killed could do it. And then I also discussed how, like, Anu had friends within the military still on his side because they followed him, not Mulgrath. I almost fell off my chair, but yeah, it's like that's one thing that I always thought was cool, was like, you know, a campaign based around essentially world domination, you trying to get the world back to its fitting order. But yeah, we have ran extremely long. Alright guys, after several rants, don't be afraid to subscribe and comment on this video.
Yeah.
Visit us on our Instagram, Critical.Failure.
They can just let us know anything like you want us to cover. I know we ranted multiple times.
Yeah. We have a definite video that's on a serious topic that we are going to be recording at some point. We're not sure when we're going to post it, but it's a definite thing.
Yeah, we've tried multiple times, but it's just kind of hard to like...
We've went over 30 minutes both times, and my phone doesn't have that type of memory space to record it and post it. But it's a heavy thing, and to which multiple D&D creators here on YouTube say don't include it, but we're going to talk about it. I would like to have enough sub feed like so like people watching us, to try and get it because I want actual feedback on it. I actually just recently asked AJ Pickin on it on his channel, and I want to see his feedback before anything, because it's a legitimate thing, and it's kind of sad seeing how people don't want it all because it's taboo.
Yeah. I think that's it for this video.
Yeah, it is. So again, don't be afraid to like, subscribe, you know, put the bell notification in, down in the doobly-doo. Yeah, I finally did it. I remembered. But yeah, you know, for every like we get, that'd be amazing. We need much more than what we're getting to get good, essentially. Get good.
I don't think that's how it works. I don't think like likes go to like, oh, you got like 100 likes. Well, guess what? You're already good.
Nah,
I don't think that's how
if we can hit for like 5 likes, that'd be amazing. Because we're trying to put out like, we would want to do 2 videos a day, but because of how our schedules are aligned, it looks like we're putting 3 to 4 out every Wednesday.
Yeah.
So we're trying to post as much as we can in the week. We got a couple more videos coming out today, actually. And you know what? We'll see you in the next video if we magically can post this one.